I really had a great pregnancy. Not a lot of morning sickness. It was very uneventful. I was just 6 months pregnant. So all of a sudden, my water broke. We met my doctor at his office, and he immediately admitted me to the hospital, and they started putting me on all kinds of drugs to prevent me going into labor. So it was a whirlwind.
And so literally for the next 21 days while Shannon was on her back, every day was a struggle until the baby was born.
Sydney was born 3 months early, and she weighed 2 pounds and 4 ounces.
The child had no fat on her. I'm used to seeing, big babies that are chunky and cuddly, and our daughter was anything but. When you see a baby with wires coming from the mouth and the heart and being wrapped up like that, it just leaves you with a feeling of helplessness. To see a child in that condition when you want to pick them up and grab them and squeeze them and you know you can't. There were three critical things that could cost Sydney her life over the next 72 hours. And to what was most people a long weekend, it was eternity for us. I had to go through so much of that alone. I mean, Shannon had been through so much. Shannon was having birthed the baby and been on drugs. Then having to go through this of having a newborn in the NICU, going through that alone was an incredibly difficult time.
It was about 2 weeks before we could hold Sydney. It was the first time that I had a real connection to her, is when I was able to hold her for the first time. The day that we had Sydney was one of the happiest days of our lives, and also one of the very saddest days of our lives. Sydney had a twin sister named Bibi, and she was born right after Sydney. And unfortunately, Bibi's lungs were not as developed as Sydney's. So she passed away about 8 hours after she was born.
I do still think about Bibi. It's weird. I think of her as the same age as Sydney, and I don't know why. I have a house full of blondes, and I see her as a little brunette. We had to put all of our energy, all of our emotional energy into the survival of our baby girl.
As a new parent, we just had so much more of an appreciation for every little milestone that Sydney had. The first time that she smiled, we just both, tears were streaming down our faces. And when she giggled, it just seemed like she didn't stop giggling. She was the happiest little baby. And, the first time she crawled, we were just bouncing up and down and high-fiving each other, because we thought that was just so great that our tiny little baby was making all the strides that full-term babies make. Sydney is a vibrant, healthy 7-year-old girl. She is full of spunk. She's very petite, but just larger than life.
And you can put her in a room full of little girls, you can put her in a room full of tough little boys, or in a room full of adults, and Sydney's going to find her way into the middle of the mix. And just a great little personality, and we're blessed to have her.